Hi, this is Silverpaw Reads, and I'm bringing you another chapter of Sontails Dreams Come True. Don't forget that I always leave a link in the description for the current chapter we're on, so you can either read it yourself or read along with me. Also, don't forget to like the video, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and maybe share the video with some friends who want to listen to some cool fan fiction. Anyways, let's get started with Chapter 21, Another Angry Mob. The warm summer winds attacked the two boys' faces, seemingly against them like the rest of the world seemed to be. It picked up the surrounding dirt and soil from the garden beds of the many individual houses that dotted the desolate street as they ran and berated their skin. The small granules packed quite the punch, and when carried by the harsh winds, left small holes on their skin. However, that was the least of their problems. Just 24 hours ago, the two were happily sitting back in Sonic's bedroom playing video games and scoffing popcorn down their gullets without a care in the world. Now, they were running for their lives with an angry mob of all of their closest friends who wanted to burn them alive. Sonic was running faster than he ever had in his life, colors blurred together, just forming white lines that cut through the blue tinge in the atmosphere and sky as he raced ahead. The blaring winds were so intense that they completely overloaded their eardrums, causing an alarming amount of wax to pool up in the canals. With this deafening wind, Tails could do nothing but close his eyes, scrunch up his face, and cover his head with his hands. His little heart was beating in overdrive, seemingly trying to match the beats of Sonic's ruby-red shoes clattering against the street. Without realizing it, Sonic instantly screeched to a halt, small red and yellow sparks flying from the soles of his shoes. Tails chanced to glance around before taking in his surroundings. Without even realizing it, the two were standing at the top of the hill that had the old lone tree on top of it. The decrepit tree still hadn't grown all of its leaves back, and its web of interlocking roots ran deep into the cliff face, binding the dirt particles together to create a thick, loamy surface soil. Tails released his iron grip on the fragile fox. Tails hopped out of his arms, slightly dizzy from the immense speed that he had just experienced. "Why did you bring us here?" Tails asked as he held his spinning head in his hands. I don't know, Tails. I panicked and just ran. Next thing I knew, I was at this cliff." Sonic muttered, his mind running as fast as he had just been. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?" Sonic repeated in his nonsensical ramblings. Sonic," Tails mumbled. "We can't go home," Sonic cried. "Sonic," Tails repeated himself again, slightly louder this time. "We can't flee, or we'll be captured and killed by the Aves community," Sonic moaned. He ran his hands through his quills nervously. His eyes darted from side to side as the gears in his brain continued to turn, clanging against each other as they struggled to think of a solution. Sonic grinded his teeth, anxiety racking his entire body, which resulted in his legs visibly shaking. "Sonic!" Tails boomed, his voice stopping Sonic in place. Sonic turned to face the fox, his body still completely motionless. "Listen, I know things are bad. I know our world is falling apart, but we can't stay here. We have to flee now," Tails reasoned, trying to keep his composure, which was only hanging on by a thread. "Tails, you know we can't do that. Where can we go? We're surrounded on all sides by the ocean of the northern community." "Sonic, we need to calm down and think things through, please," Tails begged. "How can we stay calm? Everything's falling apart," Sonic yelled, raising his hands at Tails. Spit flecked from his lips and flew through the air, landing on Tails' cheek. Tails took a step back, cowering slightly at Sonic's explosion. Sonic had never gotten this mad at Tails before. Ever. They had always been on the same side. They had always been brothers. Nothing would ever turn them against each other, especially not now when they needed each other more than ever. I'm sorry, Tails. I don't know what came over me." Sonic hung his head in shame. It's okay, Sonic. Just, let's not fight. We need each other now more than ever." Tails faked a small smile as his azure eyes met Sonic's pool of emeralds. Sonic took a deep breath in through his nose and exhaled the carbon dioxide out through his mouth, calming himself down. "Okay, what should we do? We could either try to steal a boat and hopefully chance the seas or cross the border and maybe find a place away from civilization," Sonic pondered, placing a finger on his temple. "We would be executed on the spot if we were seen in Aves. Our best chance is in the ocean." Tails turned. His glance was cast out over the roaring waves below the cliff face that attacked the side of the cliff mercilessly, eroding the cracked rock beneath. "We need to get some things from my house and then grab some things from yours," Sonic reasoned. But don't you think they'll be waiting for us at our homes? Tails queried, nervous about returning home. At least Mom is off camping. His thoughts tried to soothe his anxiety. They won't expect us to return home. Trust me. Sonic grinned as Tails nodded. He scooped up Tails once again, and together they set off to Sonic's house. Big is rallying the rest of the town together, so come on everybody, let's get those fags! Shadow yelled above the chattering crowd, who all just witnessed Sonic and Tails bolt out of the door. Shadow, what about that stupid echidna? He helped them. He probably contracted the gay from them or something. Amy whispered into Shadow's ear as he began filling the rest of the party guests out of the house and towards the chapel. Forget about him, Shadow scoffed, glancing up to meet Knuckles' angry gaze. Violet eyes interlocked with Shadow's crimson, blood-like pupils in a wordless confrontation. Slowly, a menacing smirk crossed Shadow's muzzle as he narrowed his eyes. We can deal with him after we get Sonic. Come on, guys, we need to catch them before they escape, Tikal called over to them as she got to the door. They can't go anywhere. Shadow laughed as he grabbed Amy's arm and skulked out of the house. You go to the chapel. I'll meet up with you guys after I do one thing first. Shadow commanded the two girls as they ran off. Blaze, aren't you coming? Silver asked, turning to face Blaze, who was still standing in the corner of the room, unable to process whether those past 5 minutes had happened. Silver strode up to her and waved his hand in front of her face, snapping her out of her daze. No, we need to save them, she blurted out. Silver cocked an eyebrow curiously. What do you mean? He asked. Tails is my best friend. I can't just abandon him. She defended her absent friend. But didn't you hear what they are? Silver argued. Yeah, I know, she muttered. You knew? For how long? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell Big? Silver berated her with 1,000 rapid-fire questions. Because who cares if they love each other? Why should it matter? Because it just does, okay? How could you be hiding them? That's like harboring a murderer, he yelled at her. Knuckles, still standing atop the loft, watched the whole confrontation play out. How is that the same at all? Blaze exploded, stepping forward to close the distance between her and her boyfriend. If anything, you're all murderers for trying to catch and burn them. What do you think they are? Witches? Worse. Silver looked away, biting his bottom lip in annoyance. Blaze, please just come with me, and I won't tell anybody that you knew. He held out his hand to her, pleading for her to take it. I'm going to save them, she spat, slapping his hand away. With or without your help? Without, Silver remarked coldly, turning his head. Bye, Blaze, he whispered as he slammed the door behind him and rushed off to catch up with the others. Knuckles, after witnessing the whole thing, walked down the stairs and approached Blaze, sadness and sorrow clear in her eyes. I'm sorry about Silver. Tikal was the same. It doesn't matter, we need to help them out. Blaze looked up, a newfound flame burning in her eyes. She was determined to help out her friends and change the town's mind, no matter what the cost. Count me in, Knuckles confirmed, nodding. I think I know where they might have run off to. Knuckles rushed off with Blaze close on his heels, heading toward the familiar park that they had first seen Sonic and Tails hiding together in the bushes all those months ago. Sonic and Tails stopped short outside of Sonic's small abode. They snuck to the shadows and dived into the nearby bushes to check out the place to make sure that no pitchfork-wielding former friends of theirs were waiting for them. To think this is the only place I've ever known as home. The only place I ever lived. Sonic frowned, looking up to the second-story window where his bedroom was situated. You have a new home, Sonic, Tails smiled, trying to make the hedgehog feel better as he thought back to better times. What do you mean? Sonic sniffed, trying to wipe away the few stray tears that were threatening to break free of his eyes. You have a home in me, and here, Tails took hold of Sonic's hand and guided it over to his heart. Sonic felt the slow, rhythmic beating of the fox's heart. Know that no matter what happens, no matter what dangers we face ahead, you'll always be safe with me. Together. Thanks, Tails. That means a lot. Sonic wiped away the lone tear that had begun streaking down his cheek. Come on, let's get this over with before they come looking for us at home. Together, the two boys jumped out of the bushes and ran over to the front door. Sonic swiftly pulled out his key, opened the lock, and stepped inside, closing the door behind the two before being seen by anybody who was on the street. Suddenly, just as Sonic began to gather his things, he heard the loud, forceful footsteps of somebody coming down the stairs. Oh no, anybody but him? Sonic gulped as an eerie mood fell upon the room. This is a song, Sontails, versus Mobius. Vector, you little fag. Sonic and Tails, ah! Vector, why are you gay? Shouldn't be this way. I find out today you've thrown your life away. Though I praised you well, but you're going to hell. All you did was lie and now you'll both die. Sonic, wait, you stupid father. Mom wouldn't want you to do this. I'm sure she'd choose me over Mobius. Vector, no. For when your mother found out that you had let the family down, she did a roundabout and joined the mob in town. Sonic, it's not true. I don't trust you. That isn't something she'd do. Tails, Sonic, we should really run away now. Vector, listen to this shit. Sonic, don't you talk to Tails that way. Vector growls. Sonic, don't worry, Tails. I'm not scared of him anymore. Tails, yeah, but I sure am. Sonic, I've always hated you. The music is halted slightly as Sonic grabs Tails by the wrist and slams the door closed behind him. Sonic, where are we going? Tails asked, running next to Sonic as they turned the corner and began running down the street. We need supplies, but Vector has no doubt contacted Big. We need to grab some stuff from your house and leave, now! He yelled frantically, not realizing what an unfortunate figure was standing in front of him, adjacent to the park that they would have always frequented. Before he could notice, Sonic ran straight into Shadow, causing him to fall over onto the cemented ground. The music continues. Shadow, stop, homo-loving faker. You had it all, now you'll fall. I'll watch you fry in the flames, you'll die. You just think that you can do what you want, treat me like shit with your hurtful taunts? Well, in the end, looks like I won and you lost. Deep down, I knew there was something wrong with you. I should have guessed that stupid fox was wrong too. You two just kissed while the devil inside you grew. Tails, no! The music stops. Tails balled up his hand into a fist and sent it flying into Shadow's face, overcome with rage and adrenaline. He stood, huffing over Shadow's body as the hedgehog held a fist to his face and let out a guttural scream of anger. Come on, Tails, we need to get out of plain sight now! Sonic said, glancing from side to side as he grabbed Tails, and the two continued to run down the street, ducking into Tails' house. As they entered, Sonic began frantically running around the living room, looking for bags and things to pack as Tails just slumped down on the couch. The music continues. Tails, there's just no way that we can live. Everyone wants us dead. They'll burn us at the stake and chop off our heads. Sonic, chaos, damn it, Tails. We've survived worse than this, lived gay and happy in Mobius, and we'll be alright if we stay together. Tails, we've been through so much stuff, hiding our secret, that was tough. Both of them. But both of us can make it through the rough. Sonic, come on, Tails, now it's time to blow doors down. Tails, I hear you, Sonic, it's time to flee this town. Sonic, grab some bags and throw all your stuff on the ground. Tails, will run away to some place we can't be found. Both, now it's time to find serenity. Tails, they're going to kill us if we don't find some safety. Sonic, now we can leave this town, and it's biggity. Tails, now both you and I can finally be free. Sonic, hear that, Shadow? Also, Amy? This calamity, it can't stop me. Tails, you think we're weak, but we're strong together. Our hearts are entwined, love forever. Sonic, if you break a heart, it's love deprived. Tails, but with a partner, love will revive. Both, we will survive, we will survive, we will survive. Big, you two, get out here now. Sonic and Tails froze, the two bags lying on the couches only half full as they heard the voice of Big pierce through their house. Sonic and Tails looked at each other, their hearts skipping multiple beats as their tongues got caught in their throat. Finally, Sonic managed to overcome his fear to walk over to the window and peek out the curtains. What do you see? Tails asked nervously. Sonic gasped as he saw what seemed to be an entire community outside their window. The many flickering torches illuminated the night, casting horrific creatures of nightmare on his house. Sonic saw his mother, father, Amy, Silver, and the rest of his friends in the crowd with Big and Shadow leading the charge. Tails, this isn't good. There's nowhere to run. Sonic frowned, rushing back over to the kit. I don't want to die, Sonic. Tails began to cry. Sonic came over to the couch and sat next to the kit. Without warning, all of the night's events seemed to cave in on the poor fox, and he erupted into a fit of sobs, burying his muzzle in Sonic's shoulder. Shush, shush, shush. It's gonna be okay, Tails. Everything will be okay. Sonic soothed, tussling the hairs on the boy's head like he used to. He repeated those words, trying to convince himself as much as he was trying to convince Tails. Sonic looked down at the sniveling boy. So small, so innocent, so fragile, so beautiful. Sonic loved Tails, loved him with his whole heart. He knew it. He knew he didn't even love himself as much as he loved Tails. If there was anything he could do to keep this fox safe, he would do it without hesitation. Sonic knew what he had to do. He steeled his face, bit his bottom lip, and took one deep breath before he stood up. "Tails, listen to me carefully," Sonic said with care in his voice. He stared at Tails, who looked up to meet his gaze. "Do you love me?" "Of course I do," Tails replied. "Do you trust me?" "Of course I do," Tails repeated. "I have a plan to get out of this alive, but I need you to promise me that you'll do as I say, alright?" Sonic stared deep into Tails' eyes. "Why can't you just tell me?" Tails asked, sensing something wasn't quite right. "Tails, please, just promise me." After a few moments of pondering, Tails finally nodded his head and agreed. "Okay, Sonic, I promise." "We know you're in there, boys," Big bellowed from outside. "As a favor to Rosemary and the late Amadeus, we won't break down the door and force you to come out, but this is your last chance. You have 2 minutes or we're coming in," Big warned. "Mom and Dad," Tails sighed, looking down at his shoes as he thought about his dead dad and his oblivious mother who was still out camping in the forest. "I'm gonna go out there and give myself up to give you time. While I stall them, I want you to go out the back and run. Run far away," Sonic said, looking away to shield the tears in his eyes. Tails looked up, his eyes wide open and mouth agape. No! Sonic, you can't do that!" Tails complained. "You promised you would do as I say. Now please don't complain and just go. Save yourself, please, Tails." Sonic turned back, showing Tails the tears that were streaming down his face. "But I can't let you do this. I'm doing this for you, Tails." "But, Sonic, I don't want to go on without you. Please don't make me." Tails began to cry too as he rushed over and wrapped his arms around the blue hedgehog. He could feel the hedgehog twitch and shudder as he tried to stay strong for the both of them. "Tails, you're the most important thing in my life. If I know that you made it out of here alive, it would make me so happy. Please, go live your life, escape this horrible place and find peace while you still can," Sonic said through tears. But, Sonic," Tails blubbered. "Tails, please. I love you. I love you too, Sonic," Tails replied before pressing his lips against Sonic's for one final time. The seconds passed until finally Tails broke apart. "Please, Tails. Go now. Remember, I'll never forget you and always love you," Sonic said as he walked over to the door and grabbed the doorknob. "You too, Sonic," Tails sniffled, trying his hardest to keep the tears from completely causing him to break down. Tails grabbed one of the backpacks, threw it on his shoulder, and ran over to the back door, opening it. "This might be goodbye, but this isn't farewell," Tails replied before slipping out into the night. "Farewell, Tails," Sonic cried as he opened the door and was instantly grabbed by Shadow and Big. Anyways, that's the end of Chapter 1. Be sure to tune in next time for Chapter 22, and let's see what happens next. Have a good one.